You are now locked into the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast, the podcast where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys.
My name's Eric Hernandez, and I'm repping the faithful.
And I am Phillip Enriquez, repping it for America's team. And on this episode, we want to talk about the upcoming schedule for the San Francisco 49ers. And when you look at the next 5 games on this schedule, it's looking like a murderer's row.
Yeah, they started off with going to Seattle, then on short rest, home to Green Bay, then at New Orleans, home to the Rams. Then they finish off Monday Night Football hosting Buffalo. And I mean, those are all division winners.
Yeah, those are all division leaders.
Yeah.
And like I said, those are tough teams. And if my memory recalls, 3 out of those 5 games, you're on the road.
Yes.
All right, man. I mean, what do you think the 49ers' outlook is heading into that 5-game stretch?
It's reminiscent of the year before when, a lot of people were still questioning the Niners after they had won and won and won. I mean, they beat Tampa Bay, they beat Cleveland, but those aren't real teams. Let's see what happens. And they had their own mini murderers roll where it was home to Green Bay, then at Baltimore, at New Orleans. And they finished that with the winning record 2-1, losing to Baltimore, but beating Green Bay, smashing Green Bay on Sunday Night Football, and then turn around and having a great game, probably the game of the year against the New Orleans Saints. So when I look at this, the key is getting past Seattle.
Yeah, right.
That's the key. Because if they can get past Seattle, when I look at the rest of these games, I mean, I just think they're winnable games. You have Seattle, which is the hardest one in my opinion. It's Russell Wilson. It's quarterback play. Russell Wilson. When I look at home against Green Bay, I don't know why, and it's not fair to Green Bay, but last season kind of just left this image of like Shanahan can toy with Green Bay when he wants. Kind of like what he did to Belichick. We can run on Green Bay.
Matchups make fights.
Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like the 49ers match up well with Green Bay.
Yes. And I think the truth is the only way they're going to survive it and kind of flourish and end up with the winning record, which would be 3-2 at the least, would be if guys come back. If they get Raheem Mostert back. If they get Richard Sherman back. If Debo only does miss those 2 games and he's back for New Orleans, the Rams, and Buffalo. But that's no guarantee. And this is far greater of a challenge than the year before because they're not the same team as they were the year before.
And the reason they're not the same team from before, primarily for me, is because there's so many injuries they're trying to nurse on defense. And that was the strength of the team last year. I do believe what you're saying in the sense that the San Francisco 49ers can play a team like the Green Bay Packers and be able to handle their business against the Packers on the offensive side of the ball. But that defensive side of the ball is a whole nother matter. The defense was always able to keep offenses at bay last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case this year. So I think Green Bay has a legitimate shot in that game. I think that's a little bit more trouble than you might, want to admit.
Yeah. Green Bay's the one where I feel like the one I feel confident about winning is the Green Bay one because I'm sorry, I just have this image of like knocking Green Bay out completely.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have Nick Bosa on one end kind of causing havoc like we did. We may not have Richard Sherman. So
D Ford's not coming back.
D4's not
anytime
coming back
soon.
No. So they have to be creative. This is where Robert Saleh earns his paycheck. He has to be creative on the defensive side. They were able to stifle the Rams.
Yeah.
I don't really take much away from that New England game as far as the defense goes because I think Cam he doesn't have it right now.
Yeah.
They have their own issues on defense. On offense. New England's not a great offensive team. So, yeah, you're facing Russell Wilson. You're facing Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. Those 3 are 3 of the best quarterbacks there are. And especially New Orleans, I think at New Orleans is going to be interesting because they're going to want revenge.
Right.
Sean Payton's going to want payback for what happened last year.
I think that's going to be the best game.
Yeah.
That's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah. I think it starts with Seattle. Can you beat the Seahawks? Can you go into Seattle like you did last year and beat Seattle? It's a tall task. But if you can beat Seattle, I think you can walk away with the winning record. Because then I don't know, something about Buffalo, I think they're a good team, but I think they can be had.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the most inconsistent of the teams
Yeah.
on that schedule.
Yeah.
And their defense has shown some real issues this season.
Yes. And I expect them, San Francisco to take advantage of that with the
Yeah.
running game.
If Shanahan's worth his salt, he's going to find a way to exploit that defense.
Yes. And Josh Allen has a little bit of Cam Newton where he's hit or miss,
That's true.
so you'll get some of those. And I know that, two of these quarterbacks, both Allen and Russell Wilson, are running quarterbacks, but they're not, especially Josh Allen, they're not quarterbacks that are as explosive. Like when Kyler Murray ran all over us in week 1, it's not just that he was a running quarterback, he's explosive.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a quick first step.
Yeah. And he can get around the edge where I don't see that with Josh Allen.
No.
He's good.
Yeah.
Like when he gets a stride, he can go.
Yeah.
But I mean, again,
The thing is that a lane has to be open
Yeah.
for Allen to take it. Kyler Murray can make his own lane.
exactly.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that when December 8th, we start December 8th, we're going to look at this team and decide a lot of things. If they survive this murderer's row, if they can go 3-2, 4-1, maybe they get that 7-6 seed. If they go 5-0, maybe they're back in the lead in the division. I don't think that that's going to happen, but at the same time, we never know because Kyle Shanahan will come out one day and he'll just run the ball and they'll light a team up. And other times, it's just not the case.
And I think that kind of speaks to that defense was the thing that made the San Francisco 49ers so consistently good throughout the year last year.
Yes.
And and in my opinion, from the outside looking in, too many injuries on that defense to stay consistent. Because if this was the team from last year, I'd say, oh, yeah, you guys can go 4-1.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy there. You guys are going 4-1.
Yeah.
And at the very worst, I mean, that means you've had a few bad breaks with some bad luck, 3-2. But there's no way you're walking out of that murderer's row with the losing record. This year, because of the lack of Bosa, Ford on the edges, Sherman still out, things like that, it's just like, wow, those are your main guys. Those were your top dudes going into the season last year on defense. And now, again, I'm not saying that they haven't reinvented themselves. They've obviously dealt with injuries a lot better than my Cowboys have. I'm not knocking them. It's just a matter of facts are facts, and those guys are missing.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and I also think offensively, let's face it, Jimmy Garoppolo may not be the most consistent quarterback. I'm not saying he's not good. He takes a lot of flack that he shouldn't. He's a good quarterback. But the knock is week to week, we don't always know what to expect.
Yeah.
He may have a bad game or two in this stretch, and you guys can't afford that anymore with the shape of the defense. So the way I look at it is I think you guys will have to play some really good ball to escape at 3-2. But if I had to bet, I'd probably say maybe 2-3.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I really do. I think I'll close out by saying that, at the end of those 5 games, we're going to know a lot about this team. And truth, we're going to know a lot about Jimmy Garoppolo.
What do you expect, real quick, what do you expect out of Garoppolo in this 5-game stretch? Like, what will give you a positive feeling going into the next set of games after this 5-game stretch?
I think if he can emulate the last 2 games, if he can be consistent, if he can be, a little mobile in the pocket, and find second, third options, if he shows me, if he can pull off just one of those games like he had against New Orleans the year before, whether it be against Seattle or against Green Bay or against New Orleans themselves, I think that would give me hope. But at the end of the day, the future of the 2020 49ers ride on these 5 games.